Hi, in this tutorial we'll have a deeper look into templates. A template in the Waylay platform is like the code of a program. You write or create it once, but then you're able to run it as many times as you want, for as many resources as you want. The cool thing is that you don't even need to know how to code. That's why Waylay is a low-code platform. Let's start by creating a new template from the Templates section. First, we'll go over the UI. On the left, we see all the plugins we are able to use. These are the building blocks for every template, and each provides a little snippet of functionality. Combining them together enables us to solve very complex use cases. In the middle, we have the canvas. This is where we will be building the template. You can drag and drop the plugins from the left onto here. Scrolling will alter the zoom, and clicking and dragging on any empty spot will pan the viewer around. On the top right, there is one button for debugging the template with a drop-down menu for debug specific settings and a save button to save the template. On the bottom, we find all the tabs that deal with output from the template. The timeline will show the states each plugin was in over time. Debugger will show all debugger plugin messages. You can use this plugin to print any message over there. Logs show the raw logs from the rule and plugins. And problems will highlight problems and warnings that demand our attention. Okay, now that we know the UI a bit, let's create our first template. Say we have a weather station that sends out temperature data and we want an alarm to be fired from the moment this temperature is over 40 degrees. I created this weather station resource earlier, where this data will be received. If you don't know what a resource is, go check out this video on screen first. I also have a simulator running that sends random temperature data into the weather station, so we have some values to go on. Going back to the template, we want to do our check every time data comes in. This means we want to use a stream plugin for getting the data. So find and drag the stream plugin onto the canvas. To configure it, we will need to specify for which resource it needs to receive data. So in the bound resource field, I'll search and select the weather station I showed earlier. But a better way is to type in $sign here. Then the bound resource field will be filled in with the ID of the resource bound to the template or rule, which is way more flexible. Now that we are able to get the data, let's find a plugin that will be able to check if the temperature is over 40. To do this, I'll use a condition plugin. Note that there are two ways to chain plugins together. You can use a connection over here, which means that after the stream plugin is executed, the condition plugin will be executed. But we only want to execute a condition plugin when data truly arrives. You'll see that the plugin has two labels down below it, data and idle. These are the states this plugin can get into. From the moment a plugin is executed, its state can change, and it will execute all plugins that are connected to that state. So, to execute the condition plugin after data comes into the stream plugin, we connect this data state to the condition. Great! Now that we figured out the execution order, let's configure the condition plugin itself. First, we'll get the temperature data from the stream sensor by typing $, open the curly brackets, notes.stream_1.rawdata.stream.temperature, close the curly brackets. This format is called Declarative Binding and can be used to access a whole bunch of values at runtime. What we are doing here is selecting the stream node from all the nodes in the template, going into its raw data and selecting the temperature. Then we check the temperature value compared to the threshold by just using a larger than sign followed by the number 40. Lastly, let's output the result using a debug dialog plugin. This plugin will log any message we give it to the debug output down below. I'll add two of these. One will say the temperature is above the threshold, and the other, the temperature is below the threshold. I'll then connect them to the appropriate state of the condition plugin. Our template is now ready to be tested. To do this, we open the debug menu in the top right. Here we first select task type. One time means the template gets executed only once. Periodic means that we want to execute our template on a set interval, every 5 seconds for example. Reactive means we execute a template when data comes in for the resource we link in the template. This is the one we will use in a bit. And with scheduled, we can construct a very detailed schedule on which the template will be run using our rule syntax. In our use case, we want to use the reactive type. Then we link the right resource, which is in our case the weather station. Now all we need to do is press Start Debug, and you'll see things start to happen. The first thing we see is that the states of the plugin start changing depending on the values that are coming in. In the Timeline tab, we now see the state of each node over time. On the left we see the name of the node, and then on the right you'll see the states. Hovering over them will give more details. In the Debugger tab we see that the Debug Dialog plugin is outputting some text. And under the logs we see a more detailed output from each of the plugins in the template. Alright, that's the tutorial for now. We learned what templates are and how to create them. In the next tutorial, we'll look at how to instantiate our template into a rule. See you there!